Jolly good show, Major.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
What's going on, TTC? New Rob Report. And we got Seahawks versus Redskins on Monday Night Football. Prime time. They should call it Seahawk time instead of prime time because Seattle does not lose on prime time. We very rarely lose on prime time. Monday Night Football specifically. Seattle's what, 20-8 all time on Monday Night Football. 71% winning percentage on Monday night. We thrive in prime time. We thrive in prime time. Doesn't matter who we're playing against. Prime time is the right time for Seattle Seahawks. So this is going to be good. Going against the Washington Redskins. Oh man, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we end up having to play these teams. For the second time around, where the first time we played them, everybody wanted an encore. It happened with Atlanta last year. Everybody wanted to see the rematch, and it wasn't much of a rematch because the team that beat us in the playoffs the previous year was a night and day difference from the team that we played in the regular season the following year. Now we're going against the Washington Redskins at Landover again. Last time we played them, it was with a banged up RG3, but other than that, it was their full team. I mean, one player. I can gather you giving me an excuse that you're missing multiple players like the Atlanta Falcons were, but missing one guy, come on. But anyways, so here's the rematch. If you want to call it that. And once again, no RG3. The team's not playing very well. So again, it's going to leave some doubt in the air, I'm sure. I mean, no one's going to doubt that the Seattle Seahawks are defending Super Bowl champions, so you can't really say shit about that. But the Redskins, once again, are not what they would call full strength. However, Trent Williams, that asshole lineman of the Washington Redskins, is talking all kinds of stuff about how Seattle is not unbeatable and they're not intimidated, and I guess that makes sense. You can't go into a game intimidated. You'll never succeed. But a lot of these teams, they get one or two guys that want to go up there and talk big about how good the Seahawks may not be and why their team can win. The Washington Redskins are no type of competition for the Seattle Seahawks right now, even on the road. It's laughable. Seattle's coming in almost full strength. We're only going to be missing Zach Miller. Zach Miller has ankle surgery over the bye week, so Luke Wilson's going to go ahead and start. I'm hoping to see lots of Wilson to Wilson connections because Luke Wilson actually is going to be a good tight end in this league. He has a little bit of problem. Well, he has had a little bit of a problem hanging on to the football, but once the ball's in his hands, he's dangerous. He's even, I think, more dynamic than Zach Miller is. The blocking may suffer. I don't know about Luke Wilson in the blocking game. Coming off that strong side, I don't know what's going to happen. Zach Miller, for what Zach Miller lacks in his receiving capabilities, which is a good receiver. Zach Miller's a great receiving tight end, but he's not very dynamic. But he makes up for it and then some with his blocking game. We'll see what happens with Luke Wilson. Luckily, we got Russell Wilson back there, who is the MacGyver of getting out of the pocket, the Houdini of getting out of the pocket. So that shouldn't be too bad. But hey, RG3, Kirk Cousins, man. RG3, Kirk Cousins, RG3. One guy. The Washington Redskins quarterback situation is it's just turmoil. You got one guy who was brought in who was supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay, the greatest dude to ever lace up cleats RG3 can't even get right. Then you got Kirk Cousins, the guy who's supposed to be the best thing to back him up, to take over for him, and he goes and throws 4 picks against the New York Giants. Yeah, these guys are in trouble. Kirk Cousins threw 4 picks against New York, all to the outside of the field. Okay, outside the numbers. And that's where Seattle plays their best pass defenses, out there, what they would call, the outside the numbers of the field, the outside parts of the field. It's going to be bad. I'm looking for a huge day on the road. Seattle's going to go ahead and make a big statement showing that we will not play down to our opponent's level. We will roll over teams who we are just completely and totally better than. If you got any Seahawks in your fantasy team, this might be a good week to start Russell Wilson. Overall, I think Seattle offense is a bad fantasy pick. I mean, and don't get me wrong, obviously I'm not disparaging my Hawks, but especially this season, anyone on the Seattle Seahawks offense is not going to be a great pick. Even Percy Harvin, maybe not a first pick. Second flex or whatever like that, yeah, for any of those guys. But Marshawn Lynch, as soon as Christian Michael is healthy, he's running back by committee in Seattle. They're going to be limiting Marshawn's carries. So he's getting there. He's getting old. Some may argue that he's not. He's fine. But when it comes to NFL teams, they gauge the age of a running back not on his actual years he's been alive, but on how many carries he's taken, how many carries he's had as an NFL football player. Okay, so when you're getting 200 and 300 carries a season, and they're getting so many thousand carries over the course of their career, that's how they base how old a running back is. It doesn't matter how old he is. It doesn't matter how many years he's been alive. It matters how many times he's carried the football. And Marshawn Lynch is getting up, so he's going to have his carries limited all season. Our receivers, they're as good as they are. Our receivers, I like to call our receivers all clutch receivers. Every receiver on the Seattle Seahawks roster is clutch. And you talk about players who are clutch. That make the play make the right play at the right time at the right moment, yada yada yada. That's every receiver on the Seahawks. And the reason is because the passing game isn't our main our main deal. So we throw the ball. I mean, it would suffice to say that we throw the ball when we have to, and when you're making plays when you have to, that's clutch. Making the play when it has to be made, so it's always clutch. Now Seattle's not going to have any 1,000-yard receivers. They're not no 100 reception receivers. No 20 touchdown receivers. Okay, it's not our MO. But every once in a while, somebody's gonna have a good game. But again, it's not a number one fantasy pick. None of them. Not Percy Harvin, not Doug Baldwin, not any of those guys. Not Jermaine Kearse. None of them. They're all great. We all love them, but they're just not number one fantasy picks. Same thing goes for Russell Wilson. For the same reason, our passing game is not our bread and butter. So Russell Wilson's going to have a decent day always. He's not going to turn the ball over for the most part. He threw a first interception last week for the first time in how long? Russell Wilson's going to take care of the football. He's going to do what he has to do to manage the game, in a fashion that's going to get us a win. And he'll make plays when he has to, but they'll be clutch-like. However, this game coming up, I think, could potentially be a great fantasy day for Russell Wilson. And the reason for that is because I see the ball being in Seattle's hands often and early and often. I see turnovers. I think Seattle is going to either turn the ball over or force Washington to turn the ball over, or force them to be punting from well within their own, deep within their own territory, and giving us good field position numerous times early in the game. I'm talking 3 and outs. I'm talking interception, fumbles, whatever the case may be. Seattle will have the ball in Washington territory early and often. And early in the game, I'm sure you guys have all seen that Pete Carroll plays to win. Pete Carroll plays to win late in the game, not to mention early. So we're going to go for the end zone. We're not going to just do that. Typically you want to stick with the running game early to stick with the game plan. Well, no, Pete Carroll will take shots at the end zone, and we're going to have plenty of opportunity to do so. I can see Russell Wilson having at least 2 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown on Monday night. Just because he's going to have so many opportunities to do so. Washington is going to spend so much time on defense, they're not going to know what to do. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to turn the ball over and kick the ball away more often than not when they have the ball. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for Russell Wilson to pad the fantasy stats, and that's what I'm expecting to happen. Now later in the game, Marshawn Lynch will be a good pick too this week, because later in the game when we're up by 2-3 scores, I expect him to basically finish the game out for us. Him and Robert Turbin. Obviously, Marshawn will get the bulk of those carries. I don't think Christine Michael's back yet. So Marshawn will probably have over 100 yards. I expect a complete game because we're playing against a very incomplete opponent. Pick Russell Wilson. I think that this week, out of all weeks for this season, okay, out of the whole season, I see Russell Wilson having the fantasy day of the season this week on Monday night. So that's my hypothesis. Now I'm going a little in depth on my prediction for this game, and usually when I go, the more in depth I go, the more wrong I am. Anybody can give a blanket statement and be half-ass right, but I'm gonna go deep on this one and see how it turns out. But yeah, Redskins don't stand a chance in this one. This could be ugly or beautiful, however you want to look at it. It's going to be fun to watch, though. Haven't seen much happening from the Redskin video makers yet. Can we call them the Redskins? The Washington team formerly known as the Redskins. Washington Native American. The Washington team whose name we do not speak of. Whatever. Fuck the Redskins. And fuck their shitty-ass field, too. Hey, hopefully you know what the Redskins got going for them? They got that shitty-ass field in Landover that, if they're lucky, might take out 3-4 of our players' ACLs. If the field doesn't literally reach up, if the grass in the field doesn't literally reach up and rip the ACLs or MCLs out of our players' knees, then Washington doesn't have a chance. If the grass literally grows hands, reaches up and snatches the ligaments out of Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch and probably Percy Harvin's knee. If that happens, then Washington might have a chance of winning this game. But other than that, no chance. Hail to the Redskins. For one of the most monetarily successful teams, as far as worth is concerned, the Redskins are one of the top 3 or top 5 teams in the NFL as far as net worth. Why can't they just dig up that field and give them a new one? Why can't they give them new grass? Why can't they buy them a new field? Why they gotta play in that shitty ass fucking litter box when they're one of the most valuable teams in the NFL? I don't get that. Luckily it's early in the year, so I don't know that the field's gonna be too bad on Monday, but I feel bad for anybody who has to play on that field past the end of October. It's crazy. That's all I got. Gonna be good. Redskins are going to be downed. I'm saying, I think the spread is 6.5. Not quite 7. I think it's 6.5. Is it 7? It's 6 or 7 or 6.5, something like that. In between 6 and 7. Seattle, pick Seattle to cover if you're a betting fan. It's going to be ugly. Fuck the Redskins. Go Hawks.